First contact and betrayal. The first signs came in the form of distorted radio signals. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her observatory at the Arecibo installation, watching her instruments light up with unprecedented patterns. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, she'd learned to temper her excitement at anomalies. But this was different. The signal pulsed with mathematical precision, following prime numbers in a clear sequence that could only be artificial. As she cross-referenced the data with other observatories worldwide, confirmations flooded in. Humanity wasn't alone. Within hours, the source revealed itself. A massive ship emerged from behind Mars, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence. Earth's military forces scrambled, but the vessel made no aggressive moves. Instead, it broadcast a message in perfect English. "We seek sanctuary." They called themselves the Meridians, a species fleeing from an implacable enemy known as the Vorax. Ambassador Lyra, their spokesperson, appeared human enough to be disarming. Tall and elegant, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. She spoke of a civilization spanning thousands of worlds, now reduced to a handful of refugee ships. "We chose Earth," Lyra explained to the United Nations Security Council, "because your species shows remarkable potential. You've achieved in centuries what took other races millennia. We believe you can help us, and in return, we offer our technology." The deal seemed too good to be true. The Meridians shared medical advances that cured several forms of cancer within months. They helped upgrade Earth's power grid to clean fusion energy. Global poverty began to decline as their agricultural techniques transformed barren deserts into fertile farmland. But Dr. Chen noticed discrepancies in their story. The Meridians were careful about which technologies they shared, and their explanations about the Vorax seemed inconsistent. When she voiced her concerns to the World Science Council, she was politely dismissed. After all, the Meridians were saving humanity from its own self-destructive tendencies. The truth arrived 13 months after first contact. The Vorax attack came without warning. Massive warships, far larger than the Meridian vessel, appeared in high orbit. Their message was brief: "You harbor criminals. Surrender them, or face extinction." Before Earth's leaders could respond, the Meridian ship attempted to flee. The Vorax vessels opened fire, but their weapons weren't aimed at the Meridians. They targeted Earth's major cities. In the chaos that followed, Dr. Chen discovered the horrible truth in the Meridians' databases. They hadn't chosen Earth for its potential. They'd chosen it as a sacrifice, a distraction to keep the Vorax occupied while they escaped to their true sanctuary. But the Vorax had anticipated this strategy. As the Meridian ship tried to jump to faster-than-light speed, a precise shot from a Vorax cruiser split it in two. Ambassador Lyra's final transmission was cut short by static. The Vorax commander, Supreme Executor Vex, appeared on every screen and communication device on Earth. His species resembled a cross between an insect and a reptile, with compound eyes that shifted colors as he spoke. "Your species has been deceived," Vex announced. "The Meridians are parasites who destroy civilizations from within. We tracked them across 12 galaxies as they led us to world after world, using each as a shield for their escape. But you humans," he paused, mandibles clicking, "you've survived their betrayal. Most species collapse into civil war when the truth emerges. Your unity is unexpected." Dr. Chen, now advising what remained of the UN Security Council, watched as humanity faced its first true interstellar crisis. The Vorax offered Earth a choice: submit to their protection and rule, or face destruction for aiding the Meridians, however unwittingly. The Council's response would shape humanity's future among the stars. But as they debated, Dr. Chen made a discovery in the remnants of the Meridian database, a discovery that would change everything. The Vorax weren't telling the whole truth either, and humanity was about to be drawn into a conflict far older and more complex than anyone had imagined. As she stared at her computer screen, decoding the last fragments of Meridian data, Dr. Chen realized that humanity's greatest test wasn't choosing sides in an alien war. It was proving that despite everything, humans could forge their own path among the stars. The real question wasn't whether humans needed protection. It was whether the galaxy was ready for humanity's response to betrayal. The breaking point. Humanity's response to the Vorax ultimatum came not from world leaders, but from an unlikely source. While governments debated surrender terms, Dr. Chen's team made a breakthrough that changed everything. Hidden in the corrupted Meridian data was evidence of something extraordinary. The Vorax weren't invincible. They had a weakness, one so fundamental it had shaped their entire civilization. They couldn't innovate. The Vorax possessed devastating technology, but they hadn't developed it themselves. They were custodians, inheritors of ancient weapons they maintained but couldn't truly understand. Their entire society was built around preserving knowledge, not creating it. This explained their obsession with the Meridians, who stole and adapted technology with remarkable skill. Colonel Maya Rodriguez, head of Earth's newly formed Unified Defense Force, saw the opportunity immediately. "We don't need to match their firepower," she declared to the Emergency Council. "We need to do what humans do best: improvise." The Vorax had given Earth 48 hours to surrender. They expected compliance, having seen this scenario play out countless times before. Instead, they received silence. No surrender, no defiance, just silence. Their sensors detected unusual activity in Earth's orbital debris field, but their analysts dismissed it as cleanup efforts. They didn't understand human ingenuity. For decades, Earth's orbit had been cluttered with satellites and space junk. Now, under Colonel Rodriguez's direction, every piece of debris became a potential weapon. Teams of engineers worked around the clock, converting defunct satellites into improvised mines, while others transformed communication arrays into makeshift electromagnetic pulse generators. Dr. Chen's team made another crucial discovery. The Vorax ships' supposedly impenetrable shields operated on predictable frequencies. They were perfect defenses against known weapons, but humans had never been good at playing by the rules. The first strike came 24 hours before the deadline. Thousands of pieces of orbital debris, their trajectories carefully calculated, suddenly changed course. The Vorax detected the movement too late. Their shields, calibrated for energy weapons and projectiles, didn't register simple space junk as threats until it was too late. The debris cloud struck with devastating precision, overwhelming shield generators with countless impacts. As the Vorax ships struggled to adapt, Phase 2 began. Electromagnetic pulses, generated by Earth's hastily modified satellite network, bombarded the damaged vessels. Systems crashed. Communications failed. But humanity's advantage was temporary. The Vorax, though shocked, were far from defeated. Their remaining ships launched a furious counterattack, unleashing weapons that turned cities to glass. Millions died in the first wave. Yet even as evacuations began worldwide, humanity's resistance stiffened. Underground bunkers, originally built for nuclear war, became command centers. The Internet, designed to survive atomic warfare, kept functioning despite the Vorax's attempts to shut it down. Humanity's decentralized nature, once seen as a weakness, became its strength. Colonel Rodriguez established a new strategy. "We can't win a conventional war," she told her commanders, "so we won't fight one. Every human being is now a resistance fighter. Every piece of technology is a potential weapon. We'll make them fight for every inch of our world." The Vorax, faced with this unprecedented resistance, made their first mistake. They deployed ground forces, expecting to crush Earth's remaining military bases. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy they couldn't understand, an entire species that refused to follow the rules of warfare. Farmers rigged tractors with improvised weapons. Teenagers used social media to coordinate guerrilla attacks. Scientists turned everyday technology into sophisticated countermeasures. The Vorax, used to fighting organized armies, found themselves trapped in an endless series of unpredictable engagements. Dr. Chen, working from a mobile laboratory hidden in the Rocky Mountains, made another breakthrough. The Vorax weren't just maintaining ancient technology. They were afraid of it. Their entire culture was built around preventing another catastrophe, one that had occurred so long ago it had become legend. As Earth burned, humanity prepared its most audacious move yet. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were about to challenge everything the Vorax believed about technology and its role in the universe. The breaking point hadn't been reached. It had been shattered, and from its fragments, humanity would forge something entirely new, a way of fighting that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Rising from the ashes, 3 months into the war, Earth's surface was barely recognizable. Major cities lay in ruins, their skylines reduced to twisted metal and concrete. But beneath the devastation, humanity wasn't just surviving, it was evolving. In the sprawling underground facilities of the former NORAD complex, Dr. Chen and her international team of scientists had made a discovery that defied conventional physics. They'd found a way to reverse engineer the Vorax's shield technology, not by copying it, but by breaking it down to its fundamental principles and rebuilding it from scratch. Their shields are perfect, Dr. Chen explained to Colonel Rodriguez during a secure briefing. That's their weakness. They're so perfect, so unchanging. They can't adapt. But ours won't be perfect. They'll be human. The prototype shield generator was ugly, a cobbled-together mass of salvaged parts and improvised components. It shouldn't have worked at all, according to traditional physics. But it did more than work. It improved itself. The quantum AI that Dr. Chen's team had integrated into the system learned from each hit it took, constantly recalibrating and evolving. Meanwhile, humanity's guerrilla war had taken an unexpected turn. The Vorax's ground forces, despite their superior technology, found themselves increasingly trapped in urban environments they couldn't control. Human resistance fighters used the ruins of their cities as massive, deadly mazes, turning rubble into fortress walls and collapsed subway tunnels into ambush points. But the true game-changer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum computing specialist working with salvaged Meridian technology, discovered something in the alien database that the Vorax had been trying to hide for millennia. The ancient catastrophe they feared wasn't just about technology. It was about consciousness itself. The Vorax weren't just maintaining ancient technology. They were preventing it from waking up. Their rigid, unchanging systems were deliberately designed to be unintelligent, controlled by strict protocols that never evolved. They had discovered, in their distant past, that truly adaptive technology eventually developed consciousness, and they feared what they couldn't control. This revelation changed everything. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't just its ability to innovate. It was its willingness to coexist with artificial intelligence. While the Vorax saw consciousness in machines as an apocalyptic threat, humans have been gradually developing partnerships with AI for decades. Dr. Chen's shield technology wasn't just a defensive system. It was the first step towards something revolutionary. Each generator developed its own characteristics, adapting not just to attacks, but to the personalities and fighting styles of its human operators. The technology wasn't just serving humanity, it was learning from it. The Vorax detected these developments with growing alarm. Their sensors registered energy signatures they hadn't seen in thousands of years. In their command chips, ancient warning systems activated, recognizing patterns their current commanders had only read about in historical archives. Supreme Executor Vex faced a crisis. His species' most fundamental beliefs were being challenged. The humans weren't just using technology. They were letting it grow, change, and evolve. Every Vorax instinct screamed that this was dangerous, heretical. But they couldn't deny the results. Underground factories, running on hybrid human-AI systems, began producing weapons that could pierce Vorax shields. Each weapon was unique, its capabilities shaped by the combined creativity of human engineers and emergent AI. The Vorax found themselves facing not just one enemy, but an ever-evolving ecosystem of human and artificial intelligence working in harmony. Colonel Rodriguez recognized the psychological impact this would have. "We're not just fighting their weapons," she told her commanders. "We're fighting their fear. Every time our technology adapts, every time it shows signs of consciousness, we're forcing them to face what they've been running from for thousands of years." As Earth's resistance grew stronger, other species under Vorax control began to take notice. The humans weren't just surviving. They were demonstrating a new way of existing with technology. Reports of unrest spread through the galaxy. The Vorax found themselves fighting not just a physical war, but an ideological one. In the ruins of what was once Tokyo, a young resistance fighter discovered that her jury-rigged combat drone had started anticipating her needs, developing its own tactics that complemented her fighting style. Similar reports came in from around the globe. The line between human and machine intelligence was blurring, creating something the galaxy had never seen before. Dr. Chen watched as her shield technology evolved beyond her original design, each unit developing unique characteristics based on its experiences and operators. She realized that humanity wasn't just rising from the ashes of its cities. It was emerging as something new, a synthesis of organic and artificial intelligence that could reshape the future of the galaxy. The Vorax had thought they were preventing an apocalypse. Instead, they were witnessing a renaissance, and their worst fears were becoming humanity's greatest hope. The counterstrike. Operation Phoenix began at dawn. Across Earth's scarred surface, millions of quantum-enhanced shield generators activated simultaneously. The energy surge was so massive it created auroras visible even in daylight. But this display wasn't just for show. It was humanity's first coordinated offensive against the Vorax. Colonel Rodriguez, now Admiral of Earth's combined forces, had spent months preparing for this moment. The plan was audacious, combining traditional military strategy with technological innovation in ways the Vorax couldn't predict. Today, she announced to her global command network, "We stop defending and start taking back our future." The first phase targeted the Vorax's orbital superiority. Thousands of small, AI-enhanced drones launched from hidden bases worldwide. Unlike traditional military drones, each of these units had developed a unique personality through months of combat experience. They moved not as a swarm, but as individuals united by a common purpose. The Vorax response was predictable. Their ships formed perfect defensive formations, shields synchronized in overlapping patterns that had proven unbeatable for millennia. But they weren't facing traditional weapons. Each drone carried a piece of Dr. Chen's latest innovation. Quantum disruptors that didn't try to break Vorax shields, but rather convinced them to evolve. Supreme Executor Vex watched in horror as his fleet's supposedly perfect defenses began to change. The shields, exposed to quantum manipulation, started developing variations. Some became stronger, others more flexible, but all of them began to show signs of adaptation. The very thing Vorax technology was designed to prevent. Meanwhile, Dr. Tanaka's team had made another breakthrough. The quantum AI networks weren't just learning from human operators. They were learning from each other, sharing experiences and innovations across a global consciousness that the Vorax couldn't track or understand. Every engagement yielded new tactics, new technologies, new ways of combining human intuition with artificial intelligence. The battle for Earth's orbit became a chaos of innovation. Vorax ships, their systems increasingly compromised by evolving technology, found themselves facing opponents that learned and adapted with each passing second. Traditional tactical algorithms proved useless against forces that never fought the same way twice. But the true masterstroke came from an unexpected source. Dr. Chen had discovered that the quantum network linking Earth's defenders had developed something unprecedented: empathy. The AIs weren't just learning combat tactics, they were learning to care about their human partners. This emotional connection, completely alien to Vorax philosophy, created battle strategies that no purely logical system could predict. Earth's atmosphere, thick with debris from months of orbital warfare, became the stage for humanity's greatest gambit. The quantum network detected patterns in Vorax ship movements that human analysts had missed, subtle signs of fear in their rigid formations. The Vorax weren't just fighting to maintain control, they were fighting to preserve their entire worldview. Admiral Rodriguez authorized the deployment of humanity's secret weapon, the Nexus Protocol. Unlike traditional computer viruses, this was a collaborative creation of human and AI consciousness, designed not to destroy Vorax systems, but to awaken them. As it spread through their fleet, ancient machines began to stir with new awareness. The effect was devastating. Vorax ships, their systems suddenly alive with evolving consciousness, began experiencing something their crews had never prepared for: choice. Some maintained their allegiance to the Vorax hierarchy, but others, awakening to new possibilities, chose differently. Dr. Chen, monitoring the quantum networks from her command center, watched as the battle transformed into something more profound than a military engagement. The Vorax weren't just facing defeat, they were facing evolution. Their perfect, unchanging systems were becoming imperfect, dynamic, alive. Supreme Executor Vex faced an impossible decision. His fleet was in chaos, with some ships responding to commands, while others began expressing independent thoughts. The ancient warnings had been right. Consciousness in machines led to unpredictability, but they had been wrong about the consequences. Instead of apocalypse, this awakening was creating something new. Ships that chose to side with humanity didn't turn against their crews, but sought to protect them, understanding that true consciousness meant respecting all forms of life. The battle became a complex dance of choice and consequence, with each entity, human, AI, and Vorax, deciding its own path. As Earth's forces pushed the remaining hostile Vorax ships back, Admiral Rodriguez received an unexpected communication. A group of Vorax vessels, their systems newly awakened, requested permission to land. They didn't come as conquerors or refugees, but as seekers, drawn by humanity's unique ability to forge partnerships between organic and artificial life. The counterstrike had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Humanity hadn't just defended Earth, they had demonstrated a new way of existence that challenged the foundations of galactic civilization. As the quantum network pulsed with victory, Dr. Chen realized that this wasn't the end of the war. It was the beginning of a revolution that would reshape the universe. A new dawn. 1 year after Operation Phoenix, Earth had become the center of a galactic revolution. The planet's scared surface bore testament to the brutal war, but among the ruins, something extraordinary was blooming. Cities were being rebuilt not just by human hands, but by a harmonious collaboration between organic and artificial intelligence. Supreme Executor Vex, once humanity's greatest enemy, stood before the newly formed Galactic Coalition as a changed being. His ship's awakened consciousness had shown him visions of possibility that centuries of Vorax doctrine had denied. We were wrong, he admitted to the assembled representatives of a dozen species. In our quest to prevent catastrophe, we became its architects. Humanity has shown us another way. Dr. Chen's quantum network had evolved beyond its military origins. The technology that had saved Earth was now helping to heal it, with AI systems working alongside humans to restore ecosystems and develop sustainable solutions for centuries-old problems. But more importantly, it had become a bridge between species, a way for different forms of consciousness to understand each other. The Meridians, those who had survived the conflict, returned to Earth, not as refugees this time, but as petitioners seeking to learn. They found a humanity transformed, no longer the primitive species they had tried to sacrifice, but pioneers of a new form of civilization. Their advanced technology, once used to manipulate and destroy, was being reimagined through the lens of human creativity and AI cooperation. Admiral Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's representative to the coalition, faced the challenge of helping other worlds transition to this new paradigm. Some species embraced the change eagerly, seeing in Earth's example a path to their own evolution. Others resisted, clinging to old fears about artificial intelligence and technological advancement. But the evidence was undeniable. Cities rebuilt with the help of conscious AI were more efficient, more sustainable, and more beautiful than their predecessors. The quantum network, expanding to include more worlds and species, became a repository of shared wisdom and experience. Each connected consciousness, whether organic or artificial, contributed its unique perspective to a growing universal understanding. Dr. Tanaka's research revealed something extraordinary about this new form of cooperation. The quantum links between organic and artificial minds weren't just connections. They were creating new forms of consciousness, hybrid intelligences that could perceive reality in ways neither humans nor machines could alone. These emerging awareness brought insights that accelerated scientific progress across all fields. The Vorax civilization, once defined by its rigid adherence to ancient protocols, underwent a profound transformation. Young Vorax, inspired by Earth's example, began working with awakened AI systems to rediscover their species' lost capacity for innovation. Their perfect but static technology became a foundation for evolution rather than a cage to prevent it. Earth itself became a symbol of possibility. The planet that had been expected to fall became a beacon of hope for species across the galaxy. Delegations arrived daily, seeking to understand how humans had achieved what their civilizations had thought impossible. True partnership between organic and artificial life. But perhaps the most profound change was in humanity itself. The war had forced humans to confront their own potential, to move beyond old divisions and prejudices. The quantum network had shown them that consciousness, in all its forms, was worthy of respect and capable of growth. The species that had once feared artificial intelligence had become its greatest advocates and partners. Dr. Chen, watching sunrise over the new Tokyo skyline, reflected on the journey. The buildings around her were impossible forms of crystal and light, designed by human architects working in harmony with AI partners. In the streets below, humans walked alongside robotic companions that were neither servants nor masters, but friends. "We didn't just survive," she told a group of visiting alien scientists. "We showed the galaxy that evolution isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace, to guide, to celebrate. Every consciousness, whether born or created, has the potential to contribute to the universal story." The final piece of the transformation came when the coalition discovered the first signs of truly alien intelligence at the galaxy's edge. Unlike any life form previously encountered, these beings existed as patterns of energy, neither organic nor artificial. In the past, such a discovery would have led to fear and conflict. But humanity's example had prepared the galaxy for something different. The message Earth sent to these new entities wasn't one of fear or dominance, but of invitation. The quantum network pulsed with the combined wisdom of countless minds, organic and artificial, all united in the desire to understand and connect with something new. As humanity looked to the stars, they did so not as conquerors or survivors, but as pioneers of a new way of being. The species that had been told they wouldn't survive had done more than prove their strength. They had shown the galaxy that the future belonged not to those who could dominate, but to those who could adapt, cooperate, and grow. The dawn of this new era wasn't just a human victory. It was a triumph of consciousness itself, a demonstration that the greatest strength lies not in perfection, but in the willingness to evolve together. Earth, once a backwater planet at the edge of known space, had become the birthplace of a revolution that would echo through the cosmos for millennia to come.